What we're going to be doing in this video is actually getting started on our knife. Well, the knife class. So we can go ahead and initially create it, then we'll start it. So, in C++ classes, project, public, Nazi zombie, usables. And I'm going to go to weapons. I'm just going to right click in here, create a new class. It's going to be an actor. Next, and let's call it knife. Yeah, we'll do knife. Well, actually, we're not going to have any classes derived off this, so it's just going to be knife. So, make sure the path is right, and press create class. Now I just got to wait for it to be picked up in Visual Studio as a change. There we go, reload. And here we have our knife. Oh, now we need to correct the include path. So we're going to do include world at war, or your project name. Public Nazi zombies, usable, weapons, knife.h. Gonna get rid of our tick. And yeah, let's begin. So I'm going to go ahead and do that initial compile and close the editor. Let's create a public section. I have some U properties in here. So for example, I'm going to copy this U property section there so I have all the information. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do a class U static mesh component and call it knife mesh. You go to the CPP, knife mesh equals create default subobject U static mesh component static mesh component. Now we need to include it. So include components static mesh component.h. Now we set the root. So root component equals knife mesh. So we have our knife set up. Now we need to kind of think of what we need to actually have called. So I'm going to create a public section. And we want it to just be called simply via on knife. So we're going to do a void on knife. Create the implementation. Go to our Nazi zombie character. Copy the on knife attack. Paste it in. Okay. Then we want to have a couple more functions. So for example, we want the U function and the multicast be over here. So paste those in. And I'm going to be lazy and copy all of these in here and paste them into the CPP. And change a Nazi zombie character to a knife. Like so. And change on knife attack to on knife. Next up, we need to include our FPS knife montage. So we had that right here. Paste that in. And we're good. Now we just need to pretty much get our owner. What we're going to do here is if a Nazi zombie character player equals cast a Nazi zombie character from get owner. I'm going to go ahead and include it at the top. So I'm going to be just me being me. We have our project public player Nazi zombie character.h. Now what we can do is we can do player get mesh first person get anim instance. Alright, so now we need to trigger it. We also need to do a check here, but we'll do that here in a second. So in our Nazi zombie character.cpp, what we're going to do is simply call, well, we need a reference to our knife first. So let's go to our header. And I'm just going to, I guess, place it here. So it's going to be class a knife, call it knife, and on knife attack, so if knife, you can do knife, we need to actually include it. So we're going to go to usables, / weapons, knife.h. I'm going to remove the include for the zombie. Right, so now we can do knife on knife. So that will fire this guy here. Everything will go the same. Now we just need to do our locally controlled check. We're going to do the same cast. So we have our player. What we can do is check if player is locally controlled. Well, it's not locally controlled. Then we run the third person animation montage. All the same that we did with our first. Alrighty, now we need to spawn it and attach it to our character. So if we look at how we did it in our character base, we can begin play, go through, set the owner to ourselves, we spawn it, and then essentially just add it. So we already have a reference here to our knife, so we need to make sure we spawn it and set it. So on begin play, we're going to do is knife equals get world spawn actor, same template, so a knife, then we have our spawn parameters. So those are going to be the exact same. So f actor spawn parameters, set the owner to ourselves, and pass in spawn params as, well, the spawn parameters. Then we do if knife. What I want to do is I want to initially hide it. Did we do that in here? We did it in the on rep. Okay, so it's the weapon is now in hand. I think that's when we pass in if it was hidden or not. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to hide it from the start. Actually in the CPP. So I'm going to leave that, and in begin play, hide knife by default, unhide when player is knifing, like so. Alrighty. Now we want to pretty much create a socket. I'm going to go ahead and compile actually, but we want to create a socket and attach the knife to that socket. So that socket's going to be on the left hand bone. So what we can also do is if knife attach to component. That's where we do a locally controlled check. So if is locally controlled. What we want to attach it to is our mesh 1p, have attachment transform rules. We want to just snap to target, not including scale, then f name the name of the socket. I'm going to call it, let's see, s_knife socket, and compile. So this is what we're going to name that socket. So let's launch up the editor. And once it's finished, we will load up our first person arm mesh. Okay, so character, FPS, arms, skeleton. Find our left hand. So our inverse kinematics, the left arm, or left hand, and our right click, add socket, and rename it to s_knife socket. Then we're going to right click, add a preview asset, and that preview asset is going to be the knife. And now we just need to position it. Save it. No, that's about how I want it. And to make this easier, I'm going to go to the animation, find knife attack, so we can see it actually in the grip. Go to our skeleton tree, find that socket, and just adjust it as needed. Do a little tilt. And I think that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and save. Save all. And now let's just see what's broken. So press V. I just realized something I forgot to do. C++ classes, go to our knife. I'm gonna right click, create a blueprint class. Call it BP_knife. Put it in weapons. Knife. Default. Like so. Grab our mesh. We're going to add the knife mesh. Compile save. Now we want to go to our Nazi zombie character.h. We're going to do a U property. It's going to be a T subclass of class A knife. Call it knife class. And we're going to be spawning the knife class. So spawn actor, knife class. Not sure what you're trying to complain about, but go ahead and compile. Gonna save and close the editor. I'm missing something? Oh, duh. So it's a knife, then knife class as the parameter. My mistake. Alrighty, it was successful. So now we can go to our Nazi zombie character. And what my thoughts are for the Bowie knife, what we're going to end up doing is simply destroying this. Well, once we purchase it, spawning the Bowie knife and pretty much replacing knife with the Bowie knife. So everything will work the exact same, except we'll have a different class in our hand. Let's go to our player, or Nazi Zombie player class. Knife class is going to be BP knife. File save. And there we have the knife in hand. Press V. Does not attack. We need to set the animations. Let's go to our knife, default, BP knife. It's going to be our knife attack animation montage. So now I'm going to press V. It goes through and it tries the knife. So I do actually want to change the, I think the blend out. Let's go to our knife animation montage. Go to our blend out time. We're going to do 0.1 and just see. There. So it actually kind of completes the knife. But I think what I'm going to do is later on I'm going to kind of lengthen this animation so it plays a good bit longer instead of having that quick cut out and then snap back. So let's see, how long? 16. I'll try to stop around 20. What we're going to do now is in begin play. What we're going to do is actually hide it. So set actor hidden in game. Actually, what do we use? I want to hide just the mesh. So knife, mesh, set hidden in game, true. Then when on knife, we want to pretty much just unhide it, at least for now. So set hidden in game, false. Then we have just have a way to figure out whenever the animation montage is finished, then we will re-hide the knife. And this will be pretty much the last thing we're doing in this video. I just want to confirm that it actually does start hidden. Okay. Alright, there's no knife, we knife, and there we have it. Okay. So, that's pretty much all we're going to be doing for now. In the next one, we're going to kind of refine what we have so far. And I think, I'm not entirely sure. We might start setting up the, I don't know. It's going to depend on how far we get as to whether or not we are going to start the combo attack portion. But for now, we are at a pretty good start. And actually, let me check something. Okay, so we're still using first-person arms for both. So what we can do is actually, did not mean to do that, uncomment this guy. Well, better yet, we're just simply going to play the animation instance for the other clients, just to confirm that, you know, the replication is set up. And that's going to be the last thing in this video. Sorry. We're calling it, right? Yeah. And with any luck, it shouldn't play more than once. It should only play once for the attacking client. Okay, something's going wrong with that dealio there. Ah, I know why. We have to disable the collision of the knife. Or at least set it to ignore our owner. So for now, we're just going to do knife mesh. Let's see, search for collision. Like set collision enabled. The collision enabled. No collision. And that'll fix the glitchy movement. Okay, and that reminds me of something else we have to do. In our constructor, we're going to set replicates true. And now we should be good. I was trying to think why why it wasn't playing the animation itself. So hopefully now the player should be able to move freely, as well as the knife actual attack should be replicated. Gotta fix that little switching issue. Okay, so you're not, but you are. That might be due to just the actual getting the owner. So that'll be something to fix later on. So I'm gonna make a comment. And now that I do it, I think I know why. Do if get world is server. If we are, then we do the multi-attack. That's gonna be the very last thing. Just to keep it with how we did with the weapon. I had to stop saying this is gonna be the last thing, because there's always gonna be something else. Okay, let's see what the odds are that this worked at all. Nope. So, yeah, that'll have to be something to be fixed later on. Not working when client attacks. Alrighty, so we at least have the basics for our knife class set up. And in the next one, we're going to go through, refine it, and just try to set everything else up. So that way we can actually, one, I want it to be replicated properly, so that way all we have to do is change this to our third person animation montage and animation instance, and it'll be set up and good to go. As well as I want to start doing some, I want to get that combo working, as well as some delays. So when you knife, you cannot spam the knife and that kind of thing. It won't actually re-attack until the attack is finished. So, yeah, that'll be done in the next couple videos, so I will see you then.